What is going on, guys? This is your main man Ben here, and we are Talk Active, practicing wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation. What's happening, folks? Happy Friday. The cup signifies it. Thank you, wife. I got this nice cup for Father's Day. How women thinks is truly amazing. What is going on, guys? Happy Friday. Episode 83 of our Talk Active, and good things happen because it's Friday. Hope you guys are healthy. Hope you guys are cool. And today we are going to talk about good stuff. Good stuff. And I hope we can pitch in. Let's dive right into it real quick. All right. Once again, guys, episode 83, we will pick the book of Proverbs for reinforcement. It's because Proverbs reminds us to fear the Lord and offer practical instructions on how we can live well. Again, practical and live well. If it's allowed or he allows it, then we are good to go. All right? So, episode 83, the theme would be the truly educated are not quarrelsome. In Tagalog po, ang mga totoong edukado is hindi mahilig quarrelsome. Away, makikipagdebate, makikipagtalastasan. Quarrelsome, okay? Whenever hearing the say, quarrelsome, that saying, whenever you hear that, it's for me, when you're in that situation, it's somewhat kind of seeking for approval. It comes to play when the first thing comes in my mind is, for seeking approval, is desperate. We are desperate to please your boss, someone you adore. Desperate to seek attention to people, especially these days. Those, thumbs up, the subscription. These are not bad things, but whenever the true intentions are being clouded and is replaced so that oneself stays relevant. Shots fired. Oneself stays relevant. What do I mean by that? Okay. Himayin lang po natin konti. Kung hindi ka na relevant, for example, you're an entertainer, you are an artist, you sing, you act. Yung sinasabi po nating nalalaos, or you're being not like in the spotlight anymore if you're in Hollywood, so you've been put in a back burner. That's why they got the A-list tier celebrities, the B, the C, the D. Whoever is the A is the most popular, timeless, that they can, account and make money for. Then down goes B, C, D, and all that stuff. Kung kayo po ay laos na and you want to stay relevant, that's why we talk about seeking for approval. Yun lang po. Wala, no pun intended. Ito lang po ay purely based on what we're trying to share here, okay? Whenever we hear arguments or disputes, maybe personal disagreements, political views, that's based in our, observations. Either party wants to convert the other one to agree on what they believe. Meaning, if I can convince the one that I'm arguing with, then I can probably win this argument and then I'll be justified, So that might not be the entire case, but most of the case is proving to the other that I'm going to seek your approval, that that way, I believe it's real, and what I believe is the one that it's justified, the one is truth. This is what I believe. That's why arguments sparks, because different thoughts, different opinions, and all that stuff. So trigger points here, guys. Trigger points for quarrelsome person is receiving that dreaded question, and when that question is unable to answer, or the person is not able to explain the question directly, as a result, the conversations can be exasperated, upsetting, and can be aggravated by these questions. So we're not doing some shots fired here, okay? In other words, if the person is not able to answer the questions in this debate or this, quarrel, then he can be exasperated, upsetting to that person. So, turning quarrelsome naturally, a person that is defensive has trouble accepting responsibility for their speech and actions. Once again, no pun intended, no shots fired here. Person that is defensive has trouble accepting responsibility for their speech and action. That being said, it does not mean that you have the highest form of education being recognized by the system, by the education system, such as titles by the end of your name, such as, associates, bachelors, masters, doctorate. That doesn't mean that it makes you automatically a truly educated person. What do you mean by that? It does not mean that you have those titles in your name. That doesn't mean that make you a truly educated person. No pun intended. This is just a podcast. But a point here. Let's just listen here. Since this is the stigma of society, where the form of intelligence is based on the title that you carry in your name, but studies suggest that the highest form of intelligence is creativity. That goes beyond knowledge and extends into knowledge creation. So creativity extends beyond knowledge. Instead, it makes knowledge creation. So highest form of intelligence is creativity. Content creators, that might be anything that create artists, graphic artists, painters, the people that draws. I'll give you a quick example here. Based on our limited experience, factual events that we see in life, if you model a politician to another politician, you can determine the level of education and intelligence that they possess. The needy of interact with people on a different level. These politicians, the way they interact, it's really different. When you see that difference in life and how they make connections, again, no pun intended. We're not throwing jabs here. It's just our views. But on the other hand, these politicians, you can definitely see who's sincere, who's not, who's just doing things. If election comes by or it's near, then they do their moves and all that stuff. But you definitely can tell now, especially this generation that has quite some good information traveling really, really fast. But on the other hand, artists, music writers, designers, the way they think, the beauty of creativity that they naturally possess manifest beautifully in their actions, the way they talk, the way they listen quietly, and understanding the bigger picture. Could it be anything? Could it be a political view, personal views, or interest? If you're familiar with the saying, okay, in theaters or sinihan in the Philippines, silence is golden. Silence is golden. Quiet your mouth, we're watching. This is a perfect example. This is a perfect example of what is not being argumentative, you know. I'll give you another example here, guys. Okay. Another philosopher by the name of Socrates. If you have heard Socrates, he traveled around Athens discussing things with people who disagreed, the most engaging long talks, excruciating topics in mind, numbing questions. When engaging in these discussions, Socrates never seemed to get upset himself, okay? Even about matters of life and death, he kept his cool. He was much more interested in hearing the other person had to say to him. In other words, most of us insist upon winning the argument. Socrates wants to listen and see the bigger picture. He does not want to win. He wants to see the bigger picture. You know, the Athenians were so fed up with Socrates that they executed Socrates on charges of impiety and corrupting the youth. They sentenced Socrates with drinking a poisonous beverage called hemlock. Hemlock. So that was the faith of Socrates. By just merely listening, throwing questions, that is a cruel way to die, man. That's a very cruel way to go, if you ask me. Because, you know, these days you can't be sentenced like that. It's crazy. It's crazy. Now, going back to our references, Proverbs chapter 17, verses 27 and 28. Here it goes. A truly wise person uses few words. A person with understanding is even-tempered. Even fools are thought. When they keep silent with their mouth shut, they seem intelligent. Proverbs 17, verses 27 and 28. And we are heading to our final segment here, guys. References again, Proverbs, very practical way of getting your daily dose of verse, feeding your soul. That way, you know, one way of us communicating with God is praying, but God communicates with us by us reading His Word, which is the Bible. That way, it's a two-way communication. It's a handshake, you know. In, you know, communication, language, in computer, it's zeros and ones. You can't be all zeros. It can't be all one. It has to go with the complete handshake. And that being said, the next time you face a political dispute or disagreements, let us ask ourselves, is there any reason to fight about this? It's arguing going to help solve anything. Would an educated or wise person really be as quarrelsome as you might be initially be inclined to be? Or is it better to breathe, relax, and resist the temptation? Would it be better to feel if you could conquer the need to fight and win every little tiny thing? Friends, Epictetus once says, "The beautiful and good person neither fights with anyone nor as much as they are able permits others to fight. This is the meaning of getting an education, learning what is your own affair and what is not. If a person carries themselves so, where is there any room for fighting? Once again, guys, thank you for listening. We are Talk Active. Have a great weekend.